Hey everyone, Isaac here, and welcome to Random Bits of Randomness. Today's episode is going to be a little different than normal because I don't have my headset anymore. Well, at least I won't have my headset for a few more weeks. You see, my headset has always had this issue with tracking since I bought it. I have a few workarounds I've been using. It really needed to be replaced though. Back in April, Oculus offered to replace it whenever I send it in, but because of quarantine, I opted to keep it with me at least until I started my day job again. Well, a few weeks ago, I started my day job again. Before that happened, I made a backlog of videos that I thought would be enough to cover until my headset got back to me. But due to some complications, it's taken a little longer to get back to me than I had previously thought. It should be back here in the next about 3 weeks, fingers crossed. Anyways, I've got a couple more VR videos in my backlog and a couple more reviews I can make besides that. But once I am done with those, I'm going to be out of VR content. So in the hope of making that last longer than the next week and a half, I'm going to be sprinkling in some non-VR content just to kind of spice things up, but also make my stuff that I've recorded last. So into today's video, like most people, I've got a lot of things about myself I really don't like and I want to improve. Unlike most people, I will actually go and experiment on myself based off some crazy online theories I find online. I've done things in the past like going 10 days without eating, intermittent fasting, and some other crazy stuff, but none of that matters. Today, I'm going to be talking about what I did most recently. I did this during intermittent fasting, actually, but I was trying to make myself have no joy. I spent a day avoiding joy. And yes, I mean joy. I tried to cut out any activity that would significantly raise my dopamine level to make my most boring day possible. But before I go into the video, let me explain why I made myself suffer like this. It was intentional, and there are some, hopefully, health benefits from it, at least productivity benefits, anyways, mental benefits. But I better give a shout out to the video that inspired this test on myself. It's from Better Than Yesterday, and it's this video in the top corner that gave me the inspiration to do this. You ought to really watch his video. It'll kind of give you more of the science behind it. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but he goes into a lot more depth and you'll understand a lot more watching his video. But basically what they did was put a dopamine trigger in a mouse and had it pull a lever, and they rewarded it with lots of dopamine, more than you would normally get from an activity. The mouse kept pulling and pulling the lever. They put food in front of the mouse ignored the food even when it was hungry and just kept pulling the lever. They then took the dopamine away. They used the same kind of device, but it blocked all dopamine from going to the brain. Found mice just laid down and wouldn't do anything. They would put food in front of the mouse when it was hungry, and it would still just be laying there. It wouldn't do nothing, and it would just relax. If they put food in the mouse's mouth, it would eat it, but besides that, the mice would just sit there and relax, do nothing. So anyways, how does this apply to humans? Well, theoretically, our constant use of social media and games is like the high dose of dopamine from the mice, that the mice had. And the idea is, if we do nothing, we starve ourselves from dopamine for a day. At least that's what I was doing, is starving myself from dopamine for a day. The theory is that it will kind of reset your triggers, and a low dose of dopamine from an activity that you would usually be boring or not interesting will be so high compared to your new baseline, and you'll be more productive. You'll be able to get things done a whole lot better. So the question now that you should be asking yourself is, does it work, and is it worth it? And well, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, at least for me, it works. After I spent my day without dopamine, I found myself to be a lot more motivated, at least for the next few days. I even enjoyed cleaning my house and getting some projects done that I had been putting off since before quarantine even started. Oh, those good old days before people hid their faces behind masks. You could actually see faces in public. Anyways, my productivity was high. It lasted for about 4 days, and then I was back to my same old lazy self. The first 2 days were the most productive. I noticed myself just getting tons done, and I played some games on my phone, but I was just go and getting other stuff done too. Day 3, I slowed down a little bit. Day 4 was a pretty big drop, and by day 5, I was back to, like I said, my lazy old self. During those 4 days, I got more done than I did the entire previous week put together. That being said, it's quarantine time. I mean, no one's doing anything, so I don't have a very high bar. I've got a pretty low bar to get over. Anyways, into the cost of this productivity spike. How was my day of sorrow? In a word, it was very, okay, one word, boring. 3 words, very, very boring. I was intermittent fasting during the day, so there wasn't going to be anything to eat until the end of the day, which actually worked out in my favor because then I had less chances to raise my dopamine from the amazing, exciting item known as cheese. I woke up and spent the morning hanging in my room with my wife. We talked about stuff but didn't do anything fun. I was so boring that she decided to hop on her phone and left me talking to the third of hers that was still in base reality. This only lasted for a couple hours, then she went off to work. Besides what I had to do, because I'm a parent, so I've got to take care of my kids and stuff, I avoided doing much else. I mostly just hung out in bed. Looking back on it, I was basically that mouse that just sat around and did nothing all day. I mean, had no reason, but it had no reason because had its dopamine blocked. I had no reason because I was stopping myself from doing anything that would raise my dopamine. So besides hanging around in bed all day, I did a lot of soul searching. I meditated a bit and read the Bible. All these activities can be rewarding, but none of them are going to give me a dopamine high or anything. They're good, but yeah, not something I'm going to be getting super excited about. About halfway through the day, I found myself longing to do chores around the house, which is weird. I was wanting to do dishes, which is something I do every day, but I don't like it. Don't want to do it, but during this, I was wanting to just get up and do something. I got very antsy. It was a very long, boring day. Halfway through the day, I ended up taking a bath, then going back to meditation, accidentally falling asleep during my meditation, and that came back to bite me later because at the end of the day, when it was time for bed, my body, with the fact that I took a nap and the fact that I did absolutely nothing all day, didn't want to go to sleep. I ended up taking about 3 hours to fall asleep, 3 long hours to fall asleep. I also naturally woke up really early the next day. I think it's safe to say that my body didn't need any more rest after this day of laziness. So now that I've just recounted the most lazy day of my life, was it worth it? I think so. Before I started, I was debating making this a weekly thing, and I no longer am going to be doing that. It was way too boring for that. But I was able to do a bit of soul searching during this. I feel better mentally from it. I feel like I was productive. I think I may do it again. Maybe monthly. Maybe every few months. Maybe yearly. I don't know. It's not something I like doing. It was nice to be left alone with my thoughts for a while, but it was just dang boring. And I don't know that I really want to bore myself that much every week for the rest of my life. Would it be good for me to do on a weekly basis? Yeah, I think so. It probably would be. I'm just too lazy to do nothing all day. Should you try it again? I think so. At least once. I mean, see how you react to it. Maybe you won't be as bored as I was, but you're doing nothing, so it's pretty boring. It's not going to kill you, though, and I think that everyone should try doing things that they're not used to. It just helps you think outside of the box, helps you try new experiences, and just breaks you out of your shell. Even if the thing that you're trying to do is very, very dull. Anyways, if you watch this whole video, thanks for listening to my random ramble about my strange need to torture myself. If you like this video and would like more content like this, where I try random things and experiment on myself, mention it down below, and I might do more videos like this when I get my headset back, just kind of sprinkle them in here and there. Anyways, to Oculus, please come back soon. I don't know how many more days of nothing I can stand. I need you, Oculus Quest. Oh, I miss you. Anyways, that's it for me. Remember to subscribe, and peace!